You know, one of the things that I'm most proud of is our education opportunities in Fort Bend County, not only from our public schools, but from the college standpoint as well. And you know, for a long time we worked to get a community college in Fort Bend and in Missouri City. I tell this story because I was around when it all took place. We had an opportunity years ago to either get into HCC or to Wharton Community College. And the reason we were able to get into HCC is that part of Missouri City, Bonner Park and Pond Meadow, which is on the other side of Beltway 8, is in Harris County. If they've got a Missouri City address, they get confused. They live in Missouri City, they got a Houston address, they go to HISD, but they pay City of Missouri City taxes. So they know they live in Missouri City, but because they were in Harris County, we had the opportunity to get into HCC's program, and at the time there was a great deal of difference in the tax rate, Dr. Maldonado, between Wharton and HCC. It was not a hard choice for us to make, but I went to Austin and testified as to why we wanted HCC in our campus. And by the way, I have two of my sons are graduates of HCC, and one just re-enrolled in HCC to take some business courses to round out his teaching opportunities. But anyway, they've been a very instrumental part of our community and still continue to serve the needs of our kids. And I'm a firm believer, because I was a junior college person myself, that sometimes that's the best way to get started in college, that to make that adjustment rather than going off to a UT or an A&M with 150,000 kids and not making it through the first semester of the adjustment. It sometimes is better to make sure that that's what's the right thing for you to do and get into that college life gradually. And having your mother and dad keeping you at home helped. It keeps away from the partying side of the school that so many of us are. But anyway, it's been a very important part of our community, and as we've grown and we saw it grow from being a small unit in a strip shopping center years ago, that I thought it was so important that we first get introduced into HCC, because you're paying taxes for it. And I put together a group of people that got out and sold the community. And it was unusual at the time that as Missouri City was growing, it was aging. And we didn't have a whole lot of college-age kids. So you had to sell this program to seniors. And a senior. So what we had in that first unit up there was a lot of our technical stuff, our computer stuff. This was when computers were new to a lot of people. They were just beginning to get into the technical world instead of where they are today, that if you don't have the iPhone, the iPad, the computer, you're lost. So I put together a group of people, of seniors, who actually got out in the community and said, this is what's important to Missouri City. We need a college in our campus here. So it started there, and then we said, okay, we've been paying taxes, Dr. Maldonado, we need to grow it from here. And we ended up doing a partnership with Sienna, they did, and the county, with the library and everything that was down there. And so we're now at that next step. But I'm here today to just say thank you to HCC for being part of our community all these years. We are proud of that relationship, and we look forward to even more years of it. So our speaker today is the Chancellor of HCC, Dr. Maldonado. He's a nationally recognized leader in the engineering and manufacturing industry. And what's interesting is that other college that's starting up down in Richmond, the technical school, is where he came from. So he's very familiar of that. And let me just say right now, there is a need for that as well. And Dr. Maldonado will tell you that there's a need for the technical side of it. All the kids coming out of high school today don't go to college. But if we can teach them a skill, and welders today make $65 an hour. I wish I had a weld. But anyway, welders, people that are in the trade industry will tell you that they cannot find people who want to go into their industry that know it. So the technical schools are a place that I think is there today. But he came to Houston a year ago to serve as the 8th Chancellor. And today he's the guiding process of transformation that will create a greater community partnership to support the success of all of our students. His knowledge and expertise have garnered appointments to the Board of Directors of the Houston Technology Center, the largest technology incubator and accelerator in Texas, and the Education Committee of the Greater Houston Partnership. Please welcome our guest speaker today, Dr. Cesar Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So I need both mics, right? You think with technology today we could get it down to one mic. Thank you for having me here. Pardon as I struggle with...
Yeah, the other one is just to move it.
Okay. You know, education is something that is truly lifelong today. And the mayor made the comment, not all kids go to college. And I never correct the elected official, particularly a mayor or a judge, but a technical school is college. I learned how to weld the old way. Burned a rod, go out and practice on a piece of pipe. Welding today isn't that welding. You have to know math and not just arithmetic. You have to know how to read. You have to know how to understand technical communications. So it's important. And speaking of communications, I want to thank Stacy Walker with the City of Missouri City for coordinating with my staff today's presentation and making sure that it was easy for me to get here and use the audiovisual equipment. So thank you, Stacy. And I also want to thank all the elected officials and the community for the support you've given Houston Community College way before my arrival. So I am the beneficiary of that long-standing relationship between this community and Houston Community College. And it's going to get stronger and bigger. So we want a presence, a bigger footprint here. It's about education, whether it's academics or whether it's technical. And my time at TSTC, I was there 6 years as president and as vice chancellor, I came to understand that you can't separate academics from a technical education because of the math, because of the communication skills. They're really one and the same. I was asked frequently after I arrived, are we going to stop doing academics and focus on technical? The answer is no. You can't stop academics. It's the combination of both. We hear the word STEM a lot. When you add the arts to it, add that A, it becomes STEAM. And you'll be hearing more about that as we roll out some of the programs here at our expanded Missouri City campus. So what happens on any given day at Houston Community College? Give you a snapshot of our staff's day, of my team that's sitting right here at the table. We have about 2,400 classes on any given day. That's system-wide, and it's not evenly split. You'll have some campuses heavier in the morning, some in the evening, some more on weekends. But on any given day, about 2,400 classes that range from academics to what we call workforce. Those workforce are really technical degrees. There's a lot of science, engineering, and math in those programs. We have up-to-date computer systems. We invest in upgrading our computer systems every year. We have a retirement program. So we need to be teaching our students on the equipment that they're going to use when they get out into industry or when they go to the universities. We have about 1,500 faculty on any given day moving around our campuses. We have a far larger number of faculty, but this is on any given day the bodies, the expertise, the experience that's on our campuses teaching. And those range from, again, from academics to PhDs. We have some professors that teach at University of Houston, that teach at St. Thomas, also teach at Houston Community College. When I was going to Texas A&M in the early 70s, it was surprising to me that some of my friends that were going to Blinn had the same professors I had for a lot less tuition. And that's what we do here at Houston Community College. So these faculty members are We have about 2,000 staff on any given day working on student services. You know, one of the taglines that we're using internally is be the excellent student experience. That encompasses a lot of things. It's not just in the classroom. Certainly begins when they walk in the door. Are they greeted with a smiling face? How long do they have to stand in line? If we treat them as customers, they'll keep coming back, and better yet, they'll succeed and go into industry and develop their own careers with bright futures. So it's about customer service. The student experience begins with staff and how they're greeted when they walk into the building. We have 23 locations throughout the system. We also have over 12,000 parking spaces. So you can do the math on, if you use one space on an average of 2 cars per day, you know, that's nearly 20,000 cars that cross our campuses that use our facilities. Now, I don't have statistics that give me that number. I know we have about 12,500 parking spaces. We have about 38,000 students on any given day that use our facilities. Our enrollment at the end of last year, the fall semester of last year, was 108,000. This is a demographic chart that shows we're about 35% Hispanic, 33% African American, 15% white, 13% Asian, and then there's 4% other. Now those numbers have some impact on our operation, but for me and for my staff, they really don't matter. A student is a student. It's a success story waiting to happen. But we're asked this question a lot, so I thought I'd offer it up just as a starting point. 108,000 is the number I want to really share with you. That's a large number. We're one of the largest institutions in the state and the country. Out of that 108,000, we have about 25,000 that are enrolled in our Southwest College. Our Southwest College is the headquarters, if you will, for the Missouri City campus. And we have several locations that are run from our Southwest College. From our Southwest College of 25,000, we have our West Loop campus that has a little shy of 15,000, Stafford a little shy of 8,000, Gulfton and Missouri City at about 1,200. The Missouri City number is going to grow substantially in the coming years as we move to our new location and take advantage of the footprint that we're going to have here in the community. This gives you a map, this shows a map of the attendance for the Southwest College. We don't have this map broken down by specific campus, but the darker the color, the higher the density of students. So this shows the travel time, the distance that students come to Southwest College, which is one of the Houston Community College's footprint areas. There is, down around here, you can see the high density of those students. So even though we only have 1,200 students at the Missouri City campus, that doesn't mean we only have 1,200 students from this area going to Houston Community College. We have a good number of them going to our West Loop campus. We've spoken quite a bit about our centers of excellence in our transformation process. And this is nothing more than creating a nucleus of expertise and equipment to support laboratories for different technical programs. We look at enrollments every day. When I arrived, I asked the question, how many technicians are we graduating? How many nurses? The nurses I could get. How many radiography technicians? How many pharmacy technicians? How many physical therapy technicians? Those numbers were a little harder to get. We can run some queries and get them, but we want that information to be up front, what are we doing to help the local businesses? Are we aligning our programs to meet their needs? We came up with these centers of excellence, and they're really clusters. With technology changing so fast, with the economy changing like it is, we need to be able to move a student from an upstream oil and gas job to a downstream oil and gas job. By creating these clusters, we really have degrees that are multidiscipline, where you can move from that upstream job to that downstream job by taking one semester of courses. And leveraging the skills and technology that those students learn in their first choice as a career onto other choices. And a lot of these students and their careers are going to be coming back to us to make those moves to the adjacent technologies, adjacent disciplines in their career cluster. Nurses do it, engineers do it, and I'm talking about the four-year guys. The technology is changing so fast. Last graduation, we had 6 PhDs graduate with an associate's degree from our college. And they told me, I spoke to 4 of them, and each one of them said, we're moving on to a higher paying, better job than the one I've got with my PhD. I've got a PhD. I did not earn a living with my PhD. My PhD is in engineering, it's not in education. However, it was important for me to get that because of what I wanted to do with the rest of my career, with the rest of my life. I made my success with my bachelor's degree, and my success really came from the fact that I could carry a pair of channel locks in my back pocket and know how to use them. Knowing the equation was important, but knowing which valve goes where and how to open it and how to close it was more important. That made me a better engineering student at A&M. I had really smart classmates, but they couldn't turn the valve. I credit my dad for that, for letting me take a 6-cylinder engine apart in my 64 Malibu. Anyone know what a 64 Malibu looks like? That wasn't a joke. I put it back together and it worked. I had some parts left over and I really don't know what they did, but it worked. So I learned a lot from that. Well, so as you run into students or your own children or your grandchildren, let them do stuff, because that's going to make them better at what they do. When you're talking to a lawyer and the lawyer as a kid did something like that, he'll have a much better understanding of what's going on in the courtroom and be able to explain it. So what we do in terms of education is really a sweet spot in today's economy, and it's driven by technology. Technology is a continually changing element of our life. As the mayor pointed out, iPhones and iPads, and now they talk to each other, and I've got an Apple Watch, and Commissioner Prestich and I text message each other on, he wanted to send me his heartbeat, and I said, I really don't want his heartbeat. It's fascinating. If you get a chance to tour our Coleman College for Health Science careers, the technology that we're using today is unbelievable. And in our lifetime, we're going to see tremendous changes. And it's driven by these centers of excellence. We need to keep up with those specific disciplines that are going to drive the economy and the careers of the future. So you see the list of 12 or so up here. We're going to be adding some. We're going to be adding one in aerospace, and aviation rather. I was disappointed. I come to Space City and I asked to go visit my aviation department, and I'm told we don't have one. And the college I came from had about 8,500 students. We had both a power plant and an airframe certified by the FAA. So we're working on that. That takes about 3 years to get. We'll be adding that to our portfolio. We'll be adding some other programs. As those disciplines mature and evolve, you're going to see Houston Community College keep up with those, keep up with the changes that are happening all around us, and be responsive to what your needs are. The education that you want for yourself, the education that our business partners need to keep their businesses vibrant. So what are we bringing to Missouri City with the expansion that we have? And I'll in a little bit go over what that looks like from a footprint. But it's classrooms, laboratories. We'll be adding some healthcare programs in the very beginning. One of the misunderstandings of the centers of excellence is that there's a belief that we will offer those programs only at that location. So with our $100 million investment in the Coleman College, we're going to offer all of our health courses there. Not true. That's where we will house the preponderance of our courses. That's where our faculty will be most of the time. That's where we'll house our expensive equipment. But part of the design of these centers of excellence is a network within the HCC system and with our ISD partners, with Fort Bend, with Stafford, with HISD, to create a seamless transition for the students. That's how we maximize our success. That's how we maximize their return on their investment of time and money. So we'll be starting healthcare careers in an academy. We'll be beginning with mock patient rooms, an exhibition space. There'll be a welcome center. We want the students to hang out at our place. We want them to feel like it's their own personal Starbucks. It gets complex when you try to set it a simple coffee shop in an organization like HCC, because all of the vendor requirements, all of the legal requirements, you can't just bring in a coffee machine and plug it in. But we want those students to be comfortable there, and we're going to go through whatever we need to do to make sure that that happens. We also want to have the community come visit. We're going to have video conferencing that we're going to share with you. We want you to use it for your businesses, for your meetings. We are now starting at HCC to use it internally, and we have all of these locations across our community. When I meet with the college presidents, they come to my office at 3100 Main in Midtown. Right next to their office is the technology where they can dial in and connect sitting in their building with me. So we started using that a few months back, as opposed to have their time burned up sitting in traffic getting over to my office or to any other location in the district. We're also going to be offering courses in security, server and facilities maintenance areas. Now, we're going to offer one of the centers of excellence is in cybersecurity. That'll be location to be determined yet. But in this facility, we're going to have some secure areas that are needed to operate a college. It's pretty complicated. I've talked about a center of manufacturing. It's not just a machine tool. It's all of the processes that go around that. So where can you get a job if you get a degree from our center of manufacturing? You can get it in upstream oil and gas, downstream. You can start your own maintenance company. You can become a subcontractor. There are, a couple of months ago, I referred to the Uber model. Everyone familiar with the Uber taxis, right? There's an app on the phone. You can get one to come to a black limo, come to pick you up in a matter of a few minutes. Imagine that happening with an auto mechanic. And you can just let your mind go. How about I need someone to fix a piece of a broken equipment I've got in my business? If you can Uber them and go on to take care of the rest of your business as a small business person, you're going to be more successful. That model is already happening. It was announced in the Wall Street Journal. There's an Uber for auto mechanics. And I'm sure in the next 12 months it'll go public. So, I'm going to go out and see where they are and how they're doing. But imagine my car won't start. Instead of figuring out I've got to get a tow truck or get someone to come jump my car or help me push it, I'll just Uber the mechanic and he's going to come over. Each one of us will pay a little more for that kind of a service, and that's what they're banking on. So for manufacturing and maintenance, it's the lab space that we have that's going to make it unique. We're going to move to an open lab concept where you'll have a welder, a machinist, and a tool and die designer all in the same area. And this is part of the Medici effect, part of the synergies of learning from each other from adjacency, from adjacent fields. We're going to be relocating in Missouri City. In case you haven't heard, there's this phenomenal project going on. This is our existing footprint. We've got about 45 acres in Sienna Plantation. This was a great decision 10 years ago. When we sit in 2015 and look back, it's easy to fall into an armchair quarterback and say, well, that was a bad decision. 10 years ago, the landscape was different. Physical landscape was different. The economic landscape was different. When I look at that transaction of 10 years ago, it was a good deal for the community and for the college. Things changed, so things are different now. There's been development around our campus. It's hard to get to with the traffic patterns. It's difficult to put up the type of facilities that address technical careers in an area that is evolved to be primarily residential. So the move makes sense on many levels. Great decision 10 years ago. Today the decision is to grow and be responsive to the community needs. We need to relocate. This is our current facility. We'll be moving to a location adjacent to City Hall. It's 2 parcels of land that total about the same, maybe a little bit less than where we are now, but are very functional, high visibility, easy to get to, and I can go over and have coffee in the mayor's office every day. Great partnership that we're developing, that we're leaning on with the City of Missouri City and Fort Bend County. You see shared resources here. There's a library. City Hall's next door with a community center. We're next door to Public Works. For me, what I see there are internships for our students, places where they can learn and at the same time become part of the community and save the taxpayer money. We don't want people to pay more taxes. We want to do more with what we have. And this and the partnering that we're doing with the city and the county allow us to do this. We cannot do this without the help of the community. The George Foundation is also a big player. You know, this transaction for us is about a $35 million, plus or minus transaction. The George Foundation is stepping up with a grant of about $1.3 million, and this project could not be done with that. We're putting in about $21.5 million from our current bond issue, and we're yielding about $11 million from selling our current facility, our current campus, in a transaction with the county. And the county's been very supportive. Thank you, Commissioner Prestige, for your help on that. And I'm an engineer, so I'm used to complex environments. When this transaction was explained to me, we filled up, I gave the attorneys a marker and I said, put it on the board for me. And it ended up filling up the whole board. It has a lot of moving parts and pieces. Timing's important, dollars are important. We want to move fast. Believe me, I think I'd been here about a month when I met with the mayor, and he said, we got to get this going. And we have had a full court press, the county, the city, and HCC on this project. If we hadn't had a full court press, we'd be 5 years before we see anything. This is going to happen fairly quick. We're waiting for a November election, and then pretty soon after that, you'll see the ground breaking coming up and buildings starting to come out of the ground. Great partnership with the folks that are up here on this slide. This is a timeline of what's been going on. 2015 was a milestone year. We had the resolutions of support from the city and the county. We've had the county now pass the bond issue. The George Foundation has approved the grant. So there's a lot going on here. And it looks like I was off by 5 years. Let's see, we purchased the 30 acres in 2002, so it was a little more than 10 years ago. So I want to, this is kind of what you get when HCC comes here is the span of our size. The resources of the entire system will be shared here in Missouri City. Trustee Nita Sani had a conflict and couldn't be here today, but she's a great leader. She is absolutely focused on the success of this campus, but she also realizes the value of a strong system, of the entire system. So we can support one campus and still be good partners throughout the entire city. And that's her approach to the partnerships that we have here, plus other locations in the community. Those are my, my comments, my thoughts to share with you. I know that y'all are in a rush to get back to what you do to earn a living, but I want to offer up some time for questions and answers. If you've got answers, I'll take them.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I used to work at the campus in Siena in a computer lab. I found that a lot of the kids' problems I think that need to be addressed is that, oh, don't I have to really do that? I don't really want to do it.
It may not be working anyway.
It's not working. That they didn't have transportation. You know, they're right out of high school, their parents are working, and they don't have transportation to and fro. And I saw kids on my way home back and forth, and sometimes I pick them up, would be walking from down on Trammell Fresno in Teal Run or those surrounding neighborhoods, and they'd be walking down Trammell Fresno, down Vicksburg Boulevard, down Highway 6 to get to classes. And we found a lady who ran a transportation service, and you know, they were for a charge, each fee, she would pick them up at home and bring them. But I really saw at that campus in particular, there were a lot of children who did not have transportation because, you know, they're out of high school, maybe their parents can't afford a car for them to have. And I really always thought that HCC should offer or contract with someone to help those kids so they could get to and from the classes and schools.
So recently, as 2 weeks ago, I met with officials from Metro, and we're working on a systemic solution. We can piecemeal fixes, very localized. We are looking at a solution, and Metro might not be involved here in part of this solution, but by starting to work at the center and working our way out, we will address the challenge that you're referring to. We have very strong partnerships with the ISDs, and we can work with them. When we offer transportation, we want to be able to offer Wi-Fi connection. We want the students, if they're going to be in a bus for 30 minutes, we want them to be able to be productive as opposed to just downtime. So it is a challenge. It's a challenge here. It's a challenge across the whole system. And we realize that part of the networking from our centers of excellence, we need to solve the transportation problem. Adding more lanes to highways or putting more cars on the road, it doesn't necessarily solve it. So your observation is spot on. We know that, and we're working to address it. Yes, sir.
Dr. Maldonado, there are some companies in our areas that are very dependent on robotics. Are you going to have a robotic curriculum at the school to help train people to enter those jobs?
Short answer is yes. Robotics crosses multiple disciplines. Robotics are in manufacturing, robotics are in healthcare, robotics are in engineering. So the curriculum of robotics will be embedded in many of the disciplines and many of the centers of excellence. We initially talked about a center of excellence in robotics. That still isn't off the table, but the challenge that we came upon was that it's embedded, it's like mathematics, it's embedded everywhere. So it is in our current curriculum, and we will be expanding it. It's right now it's being worked out of our 3D printing area. And they're, again, over in our healthcare area, they're using robotics for multiple applications. So we will be expanding that. It is integrated, and we'll be rolling out some announcements in the near future of how we'll be dealing with robotics.
Dr. Maldonado, I'm a homeschool mom, and I'm here with my daughter. We're actually here for her citizenship class to hear your talk. But I did want to take a moment to thank Houston Community College for their community involvement. We participate with the Fort Bend Astronomy Club in their monthly meetings that are held at your Southwest campus. and they are very accommodating to the club to let the members come and conduct meetings that are very educational. But within that, you would say, okay, anybody would do that. But your staff goes a step further because they actually come in and attend the meetings and listen. Last year, someone came and interviewed my daughter to ask her what it's like to be a homeschooler and going to the club meetings there. Just recently, 2 months ago, someone from your staff came in because they were aware of some great educational opportunities at NASA where they were selling off NASA parts and things from the close down of NASA. And it was someone from your staff that came into our meeting out of their own personal interest to educate us to know that there are these things out there. So as far as your staff goes, I think it's beyond the call of duty for them to come in, but their community involvement is excellent, and we thank you for that.
Thank you for the comments. We've got a fascinating staff, and times are different. I've got a doctorate, my wife's got a doctorate. I've got 3 children. My oldest daughter is National Merit Scholar, very proud of her. She went to A&M, graduated with honors, went to UT Law. You know, I've accepted that lawyers are in the family. And my son-in-law is a great kid. He's an attorney. She married her high school sweetheart. Great story. And then came my son, and my son is great kid. He's super nice. He's 32 years old and still trying to figure out what he wants to do when he grows up. My younger daughter had a 4-year degree in microbiology from UT San Antonio. Couldn't find anything meaningful for her. She went to TSTC, got a degree in dental hygiene, and she's working here in Houston as a dental hygienist, earning about $60,000 to $65,000 a year. Everyone is a little different today. You know, we're in a time where we can customize what we do. Homeschooling is great. I have a nephew lives in Beaumont that's homeschooled. Last year we had a student graduate from our honors college that was homeschooled, and he went to an Ivy League school. I don't remember if it was Brown or Cornell. The quality of what we want out of life is dictated by our environment, or what we get out of life by our environment and the resources and the help we have. So I want to thank you for homeschooling and putting all of that effort into raising your daughter. The staff I've got is phenomenal, second to none. And some of the things that we're doing in astronomy in the next coming couple of years are going to be fascinating. We're putting a telescope at our southeast campus, and that signal and controls for that telescope will be transmitted across the whole system. So you can sit in a classroom in Missouri City, look at the telescope, navigate it, direct it where to go, and my expectation is that our students will put together video clips and stories of what we're seeing on the screen, and we're going to transmit those throughout the system. We're going to webcast it, and we're also going to have it on HCC TV. There's a master plan already put together for that in that program. So thank you for reminding me of that, and thank you for your comments.
On top of the importance of role that community college play, I would like to ask if there is any role that campus here Texas Parkway is going to play in connecting between the K-12 and the higher education. Previously, you have a successful story to tell and to share is what happened in Leaf campus by reaching down to the ISDs and connecting with the higher ed. So is there a role or place for that experience to be repeated?
Absolutely. That space between K-12 and college is getting pretty gray. We have a lot of students that are taking dual credit courses, so they'll get the scholarship in effect for that college course, that is credit, that is transferable, and at the same time you're getting a high school credit to help them get out of high school quicker. We've done it in scale at A-Leaf, and we've got a early college high school. We're working with them in their bond issue. They've asked us to come in and work with them on their facility design so we can have a healthcare, early college high school and healthcare in the A-Leaf area. We're going to repeat that here. We've got a very good, very strong relationship with Fort Bend, and with Stafford. Embedded in this facility is going to be the concept of bringing on another early college high school focused on a discipline that the community feels is important. So we're going to be doing that. We have added an associate vice chancellor for college readiness that is in charge of the K-12 relationship. That did not exist until about 3 months ago. It took us about 4 months to find the person. Along with that associate vice chancellor is a support staff. So we have constant communications with our ISD partners. We want to develop that pipeline of students to come from the ISDs into Houston Community College, into either academics or workforce, their choice, whatever they want to do. But we want to be, we want to offer that and design that into the new facility that's coming in. So short answer, yes. Yes, sir.
Mine's a follow-up question to his. Your courses that you're offering, how will they be integrated into the four-year universities, and more importantly, will they be accepted into the four-year universities?
Most of our courses are. There's an ongoing debate with universities where, I'll use for example our calculus course or our algebra course is accepted by the university. When you go to the Dean of Engineering, he says, well, I want you to take my algebra course. So there's some politics there, particularly when the professor that's teaching it at the university is the same guy that's teaching it for us. It starts to break down the barriers. So we've having a very good dialogue. In fact, UT Tyler had already signed on for a while. Texas A&M now has a co-enrollment. When we accept a student into our engineering program, they're accepted into the A&M system. Same way with UT. We're negotiating that with U of H right now. And our students go on to the universities. We've had the first cohort that graduated here recently at a higher, much higher percentage rate of success. Jumping to the university from the college yields higher success. The universities, our courses are transferable out of state as easily as in state. There's some areas where we still get tripped up a little bit, and we're working on solving that. Yes, ma'am.
I have one more question about the actual tuition. It's my understanding from some people in Siena that a lot of the reason why people in Siena didn't attend that college was because they had to pay out of Houston non-resident fees. Is that going to change with the relocation to where you are in Missouri City? Or to at least address what that was too. I'm not educated enough for our own situation to understand if that was something that I heard, was that a lot of people didn't want to go there because they were going to pay non-resident fees, even though it was in their backyard, because it's Houston, not Missouri City.
Well, if you pay taxes to Houston Community College, you pay the in-district tuition. If you No, the taxing district isn't changing with our relocation. But if you live if you're outside of the taxing district, then there is an out-of-district tuition that is marginally higher. And I can't quote the numbers to you, but we did some comparisons with some other districts in the area, and even with our out-of-district markup, it's still less than the neighboring colleges. Not all the time, but in some cases. So we are looking, in the coming year, we'll be looking at our whole tuition strategy and what we can do to minimize that, and how we can drop the tuition in adjacent service delivery areas, or excuse me, adjacent taxing areas, to be able for students to afford to come to Houston Community College. That takes us a little time, and it takes several steps of board action, but we are, I don't think we're that much more than the next guy, and we are working in Harris County. There's been legislation passed where a student can attend any college he wants. Part of the community has some legislation where the tuition paid by the student, it's more on the north side of town, whether they go to Lone Star or HCC is the same. So we're building a system where we're the college of choice. We want students to pick us, not because we're the cheapest, but because we're the best. But along with that comes affordability. So that's something that, again, that we're looking into and studying. There probably be some action taken on it within the next 12 to 18 months. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's also an obstacle for dual credit in Fort Bend ISD as well, because we have students in the same high school that are in district and out of district, and so the kid sitting next to them got it for free, whereas the other kid is paid $200 to $400. And so, are you looking at the possibility where if the high school is at all Houston Community College, that all the students could have access to the dual credit at the same price?
Yes. The starting point was this year. We set up, I asked the superintendents to support the studying of all of the barriers we had by appointing an administrator and a financial person to a committee. And Fort Bend ISD is participating in that. What came out of that first step was a common memorandum of understanding for all of the ISDs. So as we move forward, we'll have uniformity. We have ISDs that we're competing for attention to all of them, and we want to treat them all like they're our partners of equal value. So again, the short answer is yes. Some of these things just take a little time. But we do recognize that in the same building, what you've just pointed out, in the same building, students sitting next to each other, one gets their tuition scholarship from HCC, another one has to pay the out-of-district fee.
Very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank